Colleagues, I speak to you tonight on the balance between security and liberty. This is a vexed question. We don't all agree on balance. We don't all agree on how much risk we can tolerate before we are prepared to give up our own liberties. We don't even agree on what liberties and rights are important. In the midst of this disagreement, we are also without the necessary information to make informed choices. We don't know for certain what is at stake. We know there is a threat to security presented by super-terrorism, but we don't know exactly how reducing our liberty promotes the security we seek. How then are we to proceed? Perhaps we should imagine a society without liberty at all, and plenty of security. A society where there is no risk, where life is guaranteed, but self-creation, risk-taking and uncertainty are vanquished, where order is complete, but liberty is banished. This doesn't sound right, does it? Liberty, on the other hand, means something different to the anxious avoidance of risk. Liberty is adventurous, complex and rich. It means the right to take risks. It protects a life of self-creation, the value of unknowns and surprises, the importance of improvisation and innovation, and most importantly, of freedom. The point is, with freedom comes risk and insecurity. It is a necessary concomitant of the liberal society. Where does the balance lie? I am all for a strong and intelligent security strategy that pinpoints those who threaten us. I also believe there are plenty of threats. But it is at this time, especially at this time, that we must be vigilant about the costs that come with pursuing security. Democracy fights with one hand tied behind its back. It cannot dispose of its fundamental values in the name of an unending war on terror. So here is the short shopping list of the rights and liberties that we have been curtailed in the name of security since 9/11, and I am choosing the highlights. Torture. It is done in our names, if not by us. Extraordinary rendition. Kidnapping suspects, taking them to black sites where torture can be conducted uninterrupted. Targeted killing. Drones that kill even UK citizens in failing states. This is killing without due process, without clear evidence. It is consistently entailing the killing of innocent civilians. Surveillance, the overarching control of our metadata and its sharing between our intelligence agencies. The endless watching of all of us on CCTV everywhere you go in this country. Secrecy. More and more court procedures now engage in closed material proceedings. Those accused of acts who face the restriction of their liberty or the freezing of their assets, who cannot see or contest this evidence. But as you hear my shopping list, you might still remain unconvinced. You may feel the balance has been correctly struck. You may feel that because you fear nothing in this respect, you fear no limitation because you are highly unlikely to be the ones who have to bear these restrictions. So let me leave you with something that is, I believe, very much your problem. I have in front of me the Prevent Duty Guidance for higher educations in England and Wales. It has a direct application to you, to this Oxford Union, to all of you. Section 26(1) of the Counter-Terrorism and Security Act 2015 imposes a duty on this and all other universities to have, and I quote, due regard to the need to prevent people from being drawn into terrorism. The document refers almost immediately to external speakers and events. If I may, I would like to read to you the norm that will apply to this institution from henceforth. When deciding whether or not to host a particular speaker, relevant higher education bodies should consider carefully whether the views being expressed or likely to be expressed constitute extremist views that risk drawing people into terrorism or are shared by terrorist groups. In these circumstances, the event should not be allowed to proceed, except where the relevant higher education body, the RHEB, are entirely convinced that such risk can be fully mitigated without cancellation of the event. This includes ensuring that, where any event is being allowed to proceed, speakers with extremist views that could draw people into terrorism are challenged with opposing views as part of that same event, rather than in a separate forum. Where the relevant higher education bodies are in any doubt that the risk cannot be fully mitigated, they should exercise caution and not allow the event to proceed. I ask all of you as proud members of this union to look very carefully at the duties being imposed on universities to prevent terrorism. I ask you all to reflect on the burden this places on the most famous debating society in the world, this Oxford Union. I ask all of you to consider the impact of these burdens on your freedom of expression. And as you do this, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you all to reflect on whether you think the balance is being correctly struck between liberty and security. And as you do this, I ask you to imagine what it might feel like to be innocent and to be incarcerated in Guantanamo Bay without the capacity to vindicate your freedom for years and years and years. I ask you to imagine how it feels as a sack gets placed over your head and you are taken to somewhere in the dark. And I ask you to decide whether in a few years' time I will have the freedom to say all of this to you without fear of censure. Thank you.